Hare Krishna, my dear devotees. I will begin by singing the Mangalacharna prayers and leading a short kirtan, and then I will speak on today's topic of Sri Balaram Rasayatra, because tomorrow is Sri Balaram Rasayatra. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutam Vadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnava Krishna Pada Savagana Valpa Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityamani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prasarine Nirvishesha Prasharare Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radha Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Prajakacharya Stotra Siddhasi Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Prajakacharya Stotra Siddhasi Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kunda Radha Kundagiri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samveta Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, my dear devotees, tomorrow is Sri Balaram Rasayatra day, and therefore I will speak on Sri Balaram Rasayatra. For Balaram Rasayatra, you shall read from Srila Prabhupada's summary study of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, called Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, about Lord Balaram's visit to Vrindavan after he and Krishna had left Vrindavan and been away for many years. In our meditation on the deity of the Lord, we begin from his lotus feet and then gradually progress upward toward his ankles, knees, thighs, waist, navel, chest, neck, and face. Srimad Bhagavatam is also the form of the Lord, and so we begin our study of Srimad Bhagavatam with the lotus feet, which are the first and second cantos, and gradually progress upwards until we get to the 10th canto, which is compared to the smiling face of the Lord. The topics in the 10th canto are very elevated and can really be appreciated on the liberated platform, because Krishna's pastimes with his devotees are enacted on the liberated platform. But on special occasions, such as Balaram Rasayatra, we do touch on such topics. Some years ago, I was in Vrindavan on this special occasion, tending to a disciple, Archavigraha Dasi, who was preparing to leave her body. Many senior devotees would come every day and read to her, discuss with her, and chant for her. And on this particular occasion, I read the same pastime about Lord Balaram's visit to Vrindavan from both the 10th canto and the Krishna book. The basic features of the pastime are the same in both texts, though there are little differences in terms of details and revelations of insights into the pastime. Today, I shall read from the Krishna book. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, chapter 65, Lord Balaram visits Vrindavan. So Lord Balaram, so I'm reading now from Krishna book. Lord Balaram became very anxious to see his father and mother in Vrindavan. Therefore, with great enthusiasm, he started on a chariot for Vrindavan. Inhabitants of Vrindavan had been anxious to see Krishna and Balaram for a very long time. When Lord Balaram returned to Vrindavan, all the cowherd boys and the gopis had grown up, But still, on his arrival, they all embraced him, and Balaram embraced them in reciprocation. After this, he came before Maharaj Nanda and Yashoda and offered his respectful obeisances. In response, Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj offered their blessings unto him. They addressed him as Jagadishwara, or the Lord of the universe who maintains everyone. The reason for this was that Krishna and Balaram maintain all living entities. And yet Nanda and Yashoda were put into such difficulties on account of their absence. Feeling like this, they embraced Balaram and, seating him on their laps, began their perpetual crying. Wetting Balaram with their tears, Lord Balaram then offered his respectful obeisances to the elderly cowherd men and accepted the obeisances of the younger cowherd men. Thus, according to their different ages and relationships, Lord Balaram exchanged feelings of friendship with them. He shook hands with those who were his equal in age and friendship, and with loud laughing embraced each one of them. So, my dear devotees, there are many points in just this one paragraph. First, Lord Balaram offered obeisances to Nanda and Yashoda, who had played the roles of his parents, and they in turn offered their blessings to him. Yet they referred to him as Jagadishwara, the Lord of the universe. It appears contradictory that the Lord of the universe is offering obeisances to Nanda and Yashoda, and they are offering blessings to him. But in transcendental pastimes, there are two considerations, Rasa and Tatwa. Rasa means the transcendental mellows exchanged between the Lord and the devotees in a loving relationship. And Tatwa means their existential positions. Although in terms of Tatwa, Balaram is the personality of Godhead, Vishnu Tattva, and Nanda and Yashoda are devotees. In terms of rasa, in terms of their transcendental relationship, Nanda and Yashoda are in the position of parents to Balaram and Krishna. Vatsalya Ras. Unless one understands these two considerations, one can be bewildered. And even if one does understand them, he can still be bewildered, but in a transcendental way. Queen Kunti prayed to Krishna, Gopyadade Twai Kritigasi Dhammatavad Yate Dasasru Kalyanjana Sampras Kamsa Vatram Nidya Bhaya Bhavanaya Stitasya Saman Vimohayati Bir Yad Vibheti. My dear Krishna, Yashoda took up a rope to bind you when you committed an offense, and your perturbed eyes overflooded with tears, which washed the mascara from your eyes, and you are afraid, although fear personified is afraid of you. This sight is bewildering to me. Srimad Bhagavatam 1:831. The image of Mother Yashoda with rope in hand and Krishna trembling in fright with tears in his eyes, Though Krishna is feared by fear personified, caused Kunti to become transcendentally bewildered. In Krishna's pastimes, there are many such intricacies that can bewilder the intellect. And so we should mainly just hear and relish such topics. Our first business is to listen and relish. Once, when we were with Srila Prabhupada in Indore, while touring with him in India, a disciple asked him, in some places we read that Lord Brahma is born from the lotus that sprouts from the navel of Lord Vishnu, and that then he creates the different planets, as described in Srimad Bhagavatam. But then in other places we read that all the planets, the different planetary systems, are contained within the stem of the lotus that sprouts from the navel of Lord Vishnu. How do we reconcile these two versions? And Srila Prabhupada replied, it is inconceivable. We cannot understand these topics with our tiny brains. Our only business is to love Krishna. So we study scripture, Bhagavat Shravana. Hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is one of the 5 most potent processes of devotional service. And we want to understand the science of Krishna consciousness, Rasa and Tatwa and other elements. But ultimately, we cannot comprehend or accommodate these vast topics in our tiny brains. So ultimately, we just surrender and hear, relish. Another point is that Nanda and Yashoda addressed Balaram as Jagadishwara, as if to say, we hear that you and your younger brother are the lords of the universe. Why then do you not protect your elderly parents? There is a slightly sarcastic, accusatory tone here. On a very high level of Krishna consciousness, a devotee, out of pure love, can accuse or quarrel with the Lord. On the transcendental platform, we find the full range of emotions. Everything exists there, but it's an original, completely pure state, Shuddha Sattva, beyond the modes of material nature. Everything is done out of love for Krishna. In the material world, anger is usually mixed with hatred. But in the spiritual world, the anger, transcendental anger, is mixed with love for Krishna. The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and Chaitanya Charitamrita and other scriptures inform us that beyond even the stage of prema, there are further developments of transcendental love. The general progression given in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1, 4, 15, and 16 is Ado Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sango Ta Bhajana Kriya Tato Nartha Nivrittisya Tato Nishta Ruchis Tata Ata Saktis Tato Bhavas Tata Prema Byadanchati Sadhakanam Ayam Premna Prabharbhave Bhavet Prama. In the beginning, there must be faith, Shraddha. Then one becomes interested in associating with pure devotees, sadhu sangha. Thereafter, one is initiated by the spiritual master and executes the regulative principles under his orders, bhajana kriya. Thus one is freed from all unwanted habits, anartha nivritti, and becomes firmly fixed in devotional service, nishta. Thereafter, one develops taste, ruchi, and attachment, asakti. This is the way of sadhana bhakti, the execution of devotional service according to the regulated principles. Gradually, emotions, bhava, intensify, and finally there is an awakening of love, prema. This is the gradual development of love of Godhead for the devotee interested in Krishna consciousness. As Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu 1, 4, 15, and 16, quoted as Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 23, 14, and 15. Generally, we understand that devotees progress from Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, and Anartha Nivritti to Nishta, Ruchi, and Ashakti, and all the way to Bhava and Prema. But in the spiritual world, there are developments beyond Prema. Prema Krame Bhari Haya Sneha Mana Pranaya Raga Anuraga Bhava Mahabhava Haya. Love of Godhead, Prema, increases and is manifest as affection, sneha, indignation, mana, love, pranaya, attachment, raga, further attachment, anuraga, ecstasy, bhava, and sublime ecstasy, mahabhava. That's CC Madhya 2, CC Madhya 2343. So beyond even prema is mana, a sort of transcendental anger. But that is possible only beyond the stage of simple prema, only for the residents of Vrindavan. So back to the Krishna book. After being received by the cowherd men and boys, the gopis, and King Nanda and Yashoda, Lord Balaram sat down, feeling satisfied, and they all surrounded him. First, Lord Balaram inquired from them about their welfare, and then, since they had not seen him for such a long time, they began to ask him different questions. The inhabitants of Vrindavan have sacrificed everything for Krishna, simply being captivated by the lotus eyes of the Lord. Because of their great desire to love Krishna, they never desired anything like elevation to the heavenly planets or merging into the effulgence of Brahman to become one with the absolute truth. They were not even interested in enjoying a life of opulence, but they were satisfied in living a simple life in the village as cowherds. They were always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna and did not desire any personal benefits. And they were all so much in love with Krishna that in his absence their voices faltered and they began to inquire from Balaram. So, my dear devotees, the different stages of advancement are hierarchical. In other words, the qualities of a prior or lower stage are also included in the subsequent or higher stages. So, in the above description of the residents of Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada describes them in terms that apply to any pure devotee on the platform of Uttama Bhakti. Anyavilasita sunyam jnana karmadhyanabratam anukulyena Krishna anusilanam bhakti uttama. Quote, when first-class devotional service develops, one must be devoid of all material desires, knowledge obtained by monastic philosophy and fruit of action. The devotee must constantly serve Krishna favorably as Krishna desires. That's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1111, quoted as C.C. Madhya 19167. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam's first canto, Tuyam Lavena Pi Nasvargam Na Purnar Bhavam Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya Martyanam Kimutasisa. The value of a moment's association with the devotee of the Lord cannot be compared to the attainment of heavenly planets or liberation from matter, and what to speak of worldly benedictions in the form of material prosperity, which are those who are meant for death. Srimad Bhagavatam 1:18-13. By such association, beginning with even one moment, one can eventually attain to pure devotional service and, like the residents of Vrindavan, have no interest in elevation to heavenly planets or merging into impersonal Brahman, and what to speak of enjoying the opulences of the world. The Vrajavasis were interested only in loving Krishna and serving him. Their mood fits the basic definition of pure devotional service, which applies from the beginning stages of Shraddha and Sadhu Sangha up to the most advanced stages of Anuraga and Mahabhava. So too with the different rasas. The elements of Shantaras are included in Dasyaras. The qualities of Dasya are included in Sakya, and the qualities of Sakya, including Shanta and Dasya, are included in Vatsalya, and the qualities of all four are included in Madhurya. It is not that when we become advanced, then we desire material things. No. One disciple said to Srila Prabhupada that when we are liberated, when we become Paramahamsas, then we can do anything and it wouldn't affect us because we will be on the transcendental platform. So then when we are Paramahamsas, we can also have sex. And Srila Prabhupada replied that this, of course, is foolishness. And he told a story of a servant of the king. The king would ride on the boat, and the servant would walk alongside on a path that ran along the river and would pull the boat from the land. And the king would have a little excursion. So the king was very pleased with the servant's work, and he told the servant, "I'm very pleased with you. I will give you whatever you like." So the foolish servant replied, "I would like a velvet carpet to be placed along the path so that when I'm pulling the boat, it will be soft under my feet." So Srila Prabhupada said that this is foolishness because he could have gotten anything and he wouldn't have to pull the boat anymore. He could have attained a boon far greater than doing more or less the same thing but in a little different way. So Srila Prabhupada said that this, if I become a Paramahamsa, I can have sex, is like when you are a Paramahamsa, you are in a position to relish on a much higher platform than that. That's like asking for a little extra facility to pull the boat on the thorny path. So yes, the idea is param drisva nivartate, that on the highest level one experiences a higher taste and has no interest in elevation to heavenly planets, merging into the impersonal Brahmajyoti, and then what to speak of worldly pleasures that are meant for those who are bound to die. Now the residents of Vrindavan are about to speak to Lord Balaram with faltering voices, feeling separation from Krishna. Quote, "First Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Maya inquired, My dear Balaram, are our friends like Vasudeva and others in the family doing well? Now are you and Krishna are grown-up married men with children. In the happiness of family life, do you sometimes remember your poor father and mother, Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Devi? It is very good news that the most sinful King Kamsa has been killed by you, and that our friends like Vasudeva and the others who had been harassed have now been relieved. It is also very good news that you and Krishna defeated Jarasandha and Kalyavana, who is now dead, and that you are now living in a fortified residence in Dwarka. When the gopis arrived, Lord Balaram glanced over them with loving eyes. Being overjoyed, the gopis, who had so long been mortified on account of Krishna's and Balaram's absence, began to ask about the welfare of the two brothers. They specifically asked Balaram whether Krishna was enjoying his life surrounded by the enlightened women of Dwarkapuri. Does he sometimes remember his father Nanda and his mother Yashoda and the other friends with whom he so intimately behaved while in Vrindavan? Does Krishna have any plans to come here to see his mother Yashoda? And does he remember us gopis, who are now pitiably bereft of his company? Krishna may have forgotten us in the midst of the cultured women of Dwarka, but as far as we are concerned, we still remember him by collecting flowers and sewing them into garlands. When he does not come, however, we simply pass our time by crying. If only he would come here and accept these garlands we have made. My dear Lord Balaram, descendant of Dasara, you know that we would give up everything for Krishna's friendship. Even in great distress, one cannot give up the connection of family members. But although it might be possible for others, but although it might be impossible for others, we gave up our fathers, mothers, sisters, and relatives. But then Krishna, not caring a pinch for our renunciation, all of a sudden renounced us and went away. He broke off our intimate relationship without serious consideration and left for a foreign country. But he was so clever and cunning that he manufactured very nice words. He said, "My dear gopis, please do not worry. The service you have rendered to me is impossible for me to repay. After all, we are women, so how could we disbelieve him?" Now we could understand that his sweet words were simply for cheating us. So this word of accusation against Krishna is quoted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. In the discussion of these very high states of love of Godhead, exhibited by the Vrajavasis in relation to Krishna, that they call him a cheater. Srila Prabhupada also explains that Krishna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, also wants some variety. He gets tired of always being worshipped by Vedic hymns and mantras and elaborate sacrifices and worship. Sometimes he wants someone to chastise him. But who can chastise him? Only the most pure devotee can chastise him. So one example is Mother Yashoda with the whipping stick, chastising Krishna for his naughtiness and breaking the butter plots, eating butter and yogurt, and feeding his friends and monkeys. And another example is the gopis chastising him for being a cheater. So Krishna also sometimes wants to take a break, so to speak, from being the Supreme Lord, the ruler of the universe. Not just the universe, but all the universes. And just relax with his intimate loved ones. And that is his Vrindavan Leela. It is said that he enjoys the chastisement of his friends in Vrindavan more than all the Vedic hymns, because that chastisement comes from a deep level of pure love. So here the gopis are saying that Krishna said, I cannot repay my debt to you. And just as he was leaving Vrindavan for Mathura, he said, don't worry, I shall return. But then he didn't come back. They were making garlands for him. Oh, if he comes today, we will be prepared. But he never came. So back to the Krishna book. Lord Balaram, of course, could understand the ecstatic feelings of the gopis, and therefore he wanted to pacify them. He was expert in presenting an appeal, and thus treating the gopis very respectfully. He began to narrate the stories of Krishna so tactfully that the gopis became satisfied. To keep the gopis in Vrindavan satisfied, Lord Balaram stayed there continuously for 2 months, namely the months of Chaitra, March, April, and Vaisakha, April, May. For those 2 months, he kept himself among the gopis, and he passed every night with them in the forest of Vrindavan to satisfy their desire for conjugal love. Thus, Balaram also enjoyed the rasa dance with the gopis during those 2 months. Now, here's an important point that is mentioned in the commentaries on this chapter in the 10th canto, that there were 2 sets of gopis, Krishna's gopis and Balaram's gopis. So it is not that Balaram enjoyed the rasa dance with Krishna's gopis. That would have been rasa bas, the disturbance in the rasa. But they are his gopis who are attached to him in Madhurya Ras. And so he had his rasa leela with them. And the other gopis who are attached to Krishna, he pacified by speaking about Krishna. So back to Krishna book. Since the season was springtime, the breeze on the bank of the Yamuna was blowing very mildly, carrying the aroma of different flowers, especially the flower known as komudi. Moonlight filled the sky and spread everywhere, and thus the banks of the Yamuna appeared very bright and pleasing, and Lord Balaram enjoyed the company of the gopis there. The demigod known as Varuna sent his daughter Varuni in the form of liquid honey, oozing from the hollows of the trees. Because of this honey, the whole forest became aromatic, and the sweet aroma of the liquid honey, Varuni, captivated Balaramji. And Balaramji and all the gopis became very much attracted by the taste of the Varuni, and all of them drank it together. While drinking this natural beverage, all the gopis chanted the glories of Lord Balaram, and Lord Balaram felt very happy, as if he had become intoxicated by drinking that Varuni beverage. So Varuni is a devotee, and when he was drinking that Varuni beverage, he was actually drinking the love and devotion of Varuni. So back to Krishna book. His eyes rolled in a pleasing attitude. He was decorated with long garlands of forest flowers, and the whole situation appeared to be a great function of happiness because of this transcendental bliss. Lord Balaram smiled beautifully, and the drops of perspiration decorating his face appeared like soothing morning dew. While Balaram was in that happy mood, he desired to enjoy the company of the gopis in the water of the Yamuna. Therefore, he called the Yamuna to come nearby. But the Yamuna neglected the orders of Balaramji, considering him intoxicated. Lord Balaram became very much displeased at the Yamuna's neglecting his order. He immediately wanted to scratch the land near the river with his plowshare. Lord Balaram has two weapons, a plow and a club, from which he takes service when they are required. This time he wanted to bring the Yamuna by force, and he took the help of his plow. He wanted to punish the Yamuna because she did not come in obedience to his order. He addressed the Yamuna, "You wretched river, you did not care for my order. Now I will teach you a lesson. You did not come to me voluntarily. Now with the help of my plow, I shall force you to come. I shall divide you into hundreds of scattered streams." When the Yamuna was threatened like this, she became greatly afraid of the power of Balaram and immediately came in person, following at his lotus feet and praying thus: "My dear Balaram, you are the most powerful personality. You are pleasing to everyone. Unfortunately, I forgot your glorious, exalted position. But now I have come to my senses, and I remember that you hold all the planetary systems on your head merely by your partial expansion, Shesha. You are the sustainer of the whole universe. My dear Supreme Personality of Godhead, you are full with six opulences. Because I forgot your omnipotence, I have mistakenly disobeyed your order, and thus I have become a great offender. But, my dear Lord, please know that I am a soul surrendered unto you, who are very affectionate to your devotees. Therefore, please excuse my impudence and mistakes, and by your causeless mercy, you may now release me." So she was repentant. Back to the Krishna book. Upon displaying this submissive attitude, the Yamuna was forgiven, and when she came nearby, Lord Balaram enjoyed the pleasure of swimming in her waters along with the gopis, in the same way that an elephant enjoys himself along with his many she-elephants. After a long time, when Lord Balaram had enjoyed to his full satisfaction, he came out of the water, and immediately a goddess of fortune offered him a nice blue garment, and a valuable necklace made of gold. After bathing in the Yamuna, Lord Balaram, dressed in blue garments and decorated with golden ornaments, looked very attractive to everyone. Lord Balaram's complexion is white, and when he was properly dressed, he looked exactly like the white elephant of King Indra in the heavenly planets. The river Yamuna still has many small branches to being scratched by the plowshare of Lord Balaram. All of these branches of the river Yamuna still glorify the omnipotence of Lord Balaram. Lord Balaram and the gopis enjoyed transcendental pastimes together every night for 2 months. And the time passed so quickly that all those nights appeared to be only one night. In the presence of Lord Balaram, all the gopis and other inhabitants of Vrindavan became as cheerful as they had been before. In the presence of both brothers, Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 65th chapter of Krishna. Lord Balaram visits Vrindavan. Shri Balaram Rasayatra ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, my dear devotees, thank you for listening so patiently and attentively. And now, if any of you have any questions or any comments, any reflections you would like to share, you can raise your hand, your physical hand, or your virtual hand. Hare Krishna. Shri Balaram Rasayatra ki jai. So, are there any questions or comments? Or if not, we can conclude by offering Vaishnava Pranam. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who are just like desired trees, who can fulfill the desires of everyone, and are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Panchakalpatrubhyascha kripasindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Maharaj. Wait for next month.
Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj.
My pleasure. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Jai.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.